Shadrick, Mike Dempsey. We're at the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at TIAA Bank Field. Just when you think it can't get worse, well, it can always be worse. And today the Jaguars are without their punter. He did not make the trip. That just adds to everything that has gone on this year.
It does, and that means Aldrich Rosas will do the punting as well as the place kicking, and that means the Jags don't have a backup at either position because they had Chase McLaughlin, who the Jets signed off the practice squad as a kicker, and they didn't have a backup punter on the practice squad. So when Cook got ill this weekend, that was the plan, and you hope Rosas, who's never punted before, doesn't hurt himself in pregame warm-ups today, trying out something new for the first time, JP.
Of course, the Jaguars have their hands full anyway on the defensive side, trying to slow down this Ravens offensive attack. It's a Ravens team that's up against it. They have to pretty much win out to have hopes to get in the playoffs. They're right at the cut line in the AFC playoff chase. So it'll be a motivated Baltimore team that has a lot to prove here.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're tied with Miami. Miami has a tiebreaker. If Miami loses to New England today and Baltimore wins, they're ahead, and they're in that spot. So, a lot can happen. I don't know if they necessarily need to win out, but they're probably going in with that mindset. They've got an amazing running game. Lamar Jackson led the league in touchdown passes last year, although it hasn't been nearly as successful throwing the football for the Ravens offense this time around. But with the Jags secondary beat up once again, it could be a day to correct that if you're Baltimore.
This could be the 11th different secondary lineup for the Jaguars this year. That's pretty remarkable, all the turnover that has happened. And it's a chilly day in Baltimore, 39 degrees. There was a rain-snow mix earlier that has stopped for now. Temperature at game time around 43 degrees on the Inner Harbor. Let's get to today's top stories, and we start with the quarterback. For the Ravens, the biggest challenge, Lamar Jackson, the best dual-threat quarterback in the NFL, and Doug Marrone knows the speed is hard to replicate in practice.
What's hard to simulate is those angles and the way you got to come to kind of corral him or try to keep him in a web, you know what I'm saying, that you can get him down. At this stage of the year, the physicality, you know what I'm saying, of knowing that and watching that, you can see that on film. You're not going to be able to produce that during the week because, you're trying to get your players to be, healthy for the game.
Well over 1,000 yards rushing last season. He's flirting with that again this year, and once he breaks loose, forget it. He can score from anywhere on the field.
And he's picked up his play over the last couple weeks as well. You cannot simulate what Lamar Jackson does. There's only one Lamar Jackson. You can find a guy as fast as Lamar. He's not going to have the elusiveness, though, and the complete package that he brings to the table. So, that's why he is as successful as he's been, JP. He's just a unique player in that regard, and I don't think they're going to try to slow him down. The Ravens, their approach, they're going to let him cut it loose again today, particularly against this Jaguar defense.
Jaguars used practice squad wide receiver Terry Godwin as Lamar Jackson on the scout team this week until Terry went on the COVID-19 list for the practice squad. And then it was a couple of different players at the end of the week. Linebacker Myles Jack, oddly enough, is excited to see Lamar Jackson in person.
Just watching the games that he plays, you really just kind of got to just deal with them and hope he decides to throw instead of run. You know what I mean? And even when he throws, he can still make really good passes. So, he's a tough guy. He's very talented, MVP. Every time you turn on Madden, you see him. So, he's the real deal, and he's definitely going to be a challenge for us this week. I'm excited to finally play against him in real life and just watching him do his thing in college. And we went up to the preseason and played him when he was young, but I'm definitely excited to see it in person and play against him.
Careful what you wish for, Myles, in this situation here. But, you want to play against some of the best players in the league, and they'll have their chance today.
Look, I hope Myles meets him up close and personal a lot today. Myles Jack is one of the guys with the speed that can track him, but again, it's a complete package. You've got to respect the ability to stop anywhere short of the line of scrimmage and throw it downfield like he did on fourth down, coming in off the bench after he got the cramps, came back to the locker room, threw a long touchdown to Marquise Brown on the very first play upon his return. So he can hurt you in a lot of different ways.
More changes in the secondary this week. Trey Herndon was on the COVID list earlier in the week. Sidney Jones battling an Achilles issue, and Todd Wash knows it's been a struggle all year long on the back end.
When we got the news yesterday about Trey, we put the depth chart up there and trying to figure out, who can come up off the practice squad. And, each week, we've been rotating guys in and out. guys are getting hurt and coming back and so forth and so on. But I think it's a credit to them. Every one of them works. So that when we make a decision to get them up, they usually come up, and they've been playing well for us. It's just that kind of year. I think that, that position group has really been hit. And it's usually one position group a year that gets hit.
Yeah, and that's the group this year that's been so beat up, and really on the entire defensive side of the ball, with the exception of linebacker. You've had so many changes up front, obviously, and on the back end as well, and it's hard to piece together a defense week to week.
Well, I know he wasn't having a big sack season, but your best pass rusher's on IR as well, so that contributes to the pressure on the secondary with Josh Allen not being available. So it is what it is, JP. These guys are getting a lot of valuable experience, but unfortunately, they're not the frontline guys the Jaguars expected or hoped to have out there.
Let's get to the Jaguars' offense, and Gardner Minshew II getting the start for the first time since Week 7. He's fired up to be back in the lineup.
I was excited, ready to go. I was already, going into the week, I was kind of expecting it, ready to roll. I'm just glad to be back in the saddle. I wouldn't say there's a ton of pressure right now. I don't think anybody really expects much of a 1-12 team, but we expect a lot of ourselves. We're going to go out there, try not to let, what's going on this season determine what happens these next 3 games. We're going to go try to have a lot of fun, make the most of them, and put some good stuff on tape.
All right, the adjustments here on offense now, different style of quarterback play. Get ready for the off-schedule stuff a bit more.
Yeah, I would think so. Look, Gardner Minshew played better last week than Mike Glennon did, and so, who is deserving of being the starting quarterback for the Jaguars has been a week-to-week proposition, and I think we heard a lot of refrain that doesn't really matter at this point, including on this post-game show last week. I think it matters to the guys in the locker room that you're putting the guy out there that is showing that he is going to be the most competitive in any given situation. They're still trying to win football games, and they don't want to hear talk about tanking. Myles Jack talked about that this week, as a matter of fact. So, look, Gardner's back. I think you can certainly make the argument. You can make an argument for any of the 3 quarterbacks at this point in time for various reasons, but hopefully the team will rally around him. But more importantly, hopefully his chemistry with DJ Chark will be better than it has been this year.
Let's hear from offensive coordinator Jay Gruden. Plenty of difficulty in changing different quarterbacks as the season goes along. Now the 4th different change, all 3 quarterbacks have played.
You sit in meetings and people understand what we're talking about on a chalkboard and with the film projector, but when they get out there live, how much is too much and what can they handle, what can't they handle? So that's been the biggest challenge for me. You want to simplify some things, but you also want to try to have some creativity, some different formations and different concepts, but probably put too much on their plate, all of them. Trying to make sure these guys are comfortable. That's the number one thing with Gardner this week, but it has been quite the challenge to know what these guys are comfortable with and what they can execute.
Yeah, constant change, and of course, Minshew plays through the first 7 weeks, and the bye week happens in week 8. Here comes Luton. That didn't go well. Here comes Glennon. That didn't go well, and now Gardner's back in. We'll see if he's the starter the rest of the way. It sounds like it could be a week-to-week deal at the quarterback position. Now, on the other side today, Mike, a couple of familiar faces on this Ravens defense. Calais Campbell, the reigning Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, and pass rusher YANNICK NGAKOUE. It hasn't been the best statistical season for either one of them, but Doug Marrone knows what they meant here to the Jags.
Everyone knows what I've said in the past about those 2 players. I've got a ton of respect for them. I really do. And I hope, that they're doing well. I mean, personally and everything. And I hope they're happy. I think anyone that coaches their players, whether they stay, whether they leave, whatever goes on, at the end of the day, you just hope, hey, listen, they're happy. There's always the competitiveness, where you do always want to play well, against your team, or your team wants to play well against you. But I got a ton of respect for those guys. I mean, you can't get 2 better guys in a building than those 2.
They made quite an impact on the defense here over the last few years, of course. It ended differently for each of these guys, of course. Calais, the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. I mean, you can't get much bigger than that. Off the field, he was great in the community here. He was on television for the Jags. He did a bunch of different things all year long. YANNICK NGAKOUE's situation ended much differently with that rift with the organization. Both were traded away. Now all of a sudden they've ended up on the same defense together. And YANNICK can say it's just another game. This is not just another game when you face your former team.
Look, it may be for Calais, honestly. I mean, it's his former team, but I don't think Calais harbors a whole lot of ill will towards the Jaguars. I do think YANNICK NGAKOUE does. And obviously he took about $5.5 million less just to get out of Jacksonville, to go to Minnesota, where he had 5 sacks in the first 6 games, but they weren't winning any games. He was a liability against the run, so they shipped him off at a loss to Baltimore. Since getting there, they've gone 3-4 with him, and he only has 1 sack and very few tackles on the season. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's been kind of a third-down situational pass rusher with the Ravens. Certainly not the role of a guy who thinks he's worth $20+ million a year, which seemed to be what he thought he was worth when the Jags were negotiating a deal with him or trying to. So I think Jan, one day, if he's honest with himself, is going to look back and realize he cost himself a lot of money that he's never going to make up, and that the offer the Jags had on the table might be the best offer he ever sees in the National Football League from a contract perspective. But he's going to be fired up. There's no question about it. I wouldn't doubt that they play him a higher percentage of snaps than he's been playing to give him some opportunities today.
7 tackles since he's come to the Ravens, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, 1 pass defense, 1 forced fumble.
That's in 7 games.
That's right.
So
if he's out there, run at him. Run right at him.
Absolutely. That's been the MO, and that's how teams have attacked him ever since he's been in the league, and I think that's a big part of the reason why the Vikings wanted to move on. There was a lot of talk as soon as he left Minnesota that, wow, what a liability he was. Fans didn't realize how big of a detriment he was in the run game, and I think they were 1-5 at that point. And the irony is, they've turned it around since moving on from him, and I'm not saying it's all directly due to NGAKOUE, but just it's been very coincidental the way he was in Minnesota. They were terrible. They got better when he left. Baltimore was doing pretty well, and their record is under 500 since he arrived.
Those are some of today's top stories, and the Jaguars Game Day radio broadcast is presented by VyStar Credit Union. If you believe free checking is better, join VyStar. That's checking with no fees and no minimums. No kidding. At VyStar, they never forget that it's your money. Let's take a look around the National Football League. Week 15 already underway.
It is underway. We had a doubleheader on Saturday. We'll have a tripleheader next Saturday. And in the earlier game yesterday, Josh Allen accounted for 4 touchdowns. The Bills improved to 11-3, and in doing so, clinched an AFC East title with a 48-17 win over the Broncos in Denver. And in the nightcap, the Green Bay Packers maintained their spot atop the NFC playoff crowd with a 24-16 win over Carolina. Aaron Rodgers had a touchdown pass and a run. He said after the game, if we play like this, we're not going to stick around long in the playoffs. However, right now, they'll at least stick around to the second week because they are in the first position in the NFC playoff picture with a record of 11-3. No matter what the New Orleans Saints do today, the Packers will enter Week 16 as the number 1 presumptive seed in the National Football Conference. And over in that conference, Atlanta wide receiver Julio Jones is among the players who will not suit up today due to injury. Jones recently received a platelet-rich plasma injection to help heal his strained hamstring, and despite the fact that Atlanta is not going to the postseason, he says he fully intends to return this year if his body allows him to do that. Only a couple weeks left for Julio to get back on the field. Other players that are ruled out already this weekend include Washington quarterback Alex Smith. Dwayne Haskins will get the start against Seattle. Deebo Samuel of the 49ers is out at least into the postseason if the 49ers were to make the postseason, which is not likely at this point in time. Kenny Golladay continues to be sidelined by a hip injury with the Detroit Lions. Damian Harris was a scratch over the weekend for the New England Patriots at the running back position. Myles Gaskin will not suit up. He's on the COVID-19 list for the Miami Dolphins. Duke Johnson not playing for the Houston Texans. Kyle Rudolph and Eric Kendricks for the Vikings. Michael Thomas not playing for the Saints, although Drew Brees returns from 11 cracked ribs. He will get the start today, and Jameis Winston will be his primary backup, despite the fact that Taysom Hill was the starting quarterback for the last 3 weeks. It will be Hill returning to his kind of jack-of-all-trades utility role with the Saints, and is said to they expect him to be heavily involved today. Obviously, you're going to probably want to protect Brees as much as possible in his return as Brees faces off with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in what one day we may look back as one of the matchups of 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history.
It's almost a full slab of ribs. That's how many were broken for Drew.
Really is. I mean, I've asked a couple of doctors since then, have you ever heard of anything like that outside of a car wreck, which I could imagine you could break them all, but and no one had ever heard of anything quite like that.
There you have it, our look around the National Football League. Farrah and Farrah reminds you to continue to wear a mask. help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Farah and Farah, protecting you and your family since 1979. And we're just getting started on the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll return with Jaguars defensive line coach Jason REBROVICH. He'll take us inside the development of rookie defensive end CATALON Chazon and give us some thoughts about the reunion, the matchup today with two former Jaguars on the Ravens side. The Jags and the Ravens at 1 o'clock in Baltimore. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual. Ensuring those who serve.
You won't find a better deal to keep your ride clean than Scrubble's Flexible Service Car Wash. Start in the tunnel wash and experience state-of-the-art equipment while enjoying a soapy light show. Our quality soaps and solutions keep your vehicle streak-free. Every 3-minute car wash package comes with self-serve vacuuming, lint-free towels, window cleaner, and a free air freshener. Visit us at the St. John's Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. And coming soon to Kernan and Atlantic. Trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive. Go Jags!
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
Hey, Florida drivers and motorcycle riders, don't fumble. Do your part to stay safe on our roadways. Florida has observed a significant number of motorcycle fatalities and crashes. Drivers, watch for motorcycles. Don't drive distracted. Motorcycles are hard to see. Take the extra effort to look for them. Riders, play defense. Always ride responsibly. Wear proper gear and make yourself more visible. Get trained and never drink and ride. On the road, safety is worth way more than 2 points. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Jaguars Game Day is presented by ViStar Credit Union. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at the bank in Jacksonville. The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along, and the Jaguars and Ravens tee it up today at 1 o'clock at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. This portion of the Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. And what a year it's been for Jason REBROVICH, the Jaguars defensive line coach. A lot of change up front, obviously, with guys going down with injury. Avery Jones is done for the year. Josh Allen's done for the year, just to name a couple guys. A lot of youth, a lot of new faces coming in. Oh, and he missed a couple of weeks due to COVID-19. He was on the list, at least. So there's been a lot going on up front and not a lot going well up front. Now, the last few weeks, there have been some moments where these younger players have started to shine a bit, which is a good sign for the final few weeks of the season.
Let's be honest, not a whole lot has gone right for this football team, right? So it should be no surprise that any one given area doesn't necessarily shine. But Devon Hamilton, Doug Costin, Dwan Smoot, they're young players. Smoot's still a pretty young player that are having pretty solid seasons or were prior to injury. So there have been some individual bright spots, JP, but, we look for those. We highlight those. It's not like they don't exist, but overall, it's just been tough. They haven't gotten enough pass rush. They haven't gotten the sacks. They didn't get the follow-up year out of Josh Allen that you hoped would propel him into superstardom. Kayvon Chason has really struggled adjusting to a new position, so he's had REBROVICH a lot of challenges.
And we'll hear from Jason REBROVICH now, including Kayvon Chason's development as the season has gone along.
When you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson that can go the distance from anywhere on the field, that adds just a different element to everything.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you start, with Lamar, everything goes through him, from a run game standpoint, just a dynamic player. Obviously from a running standpoint, change of direction, the speed on the perimeter, and then obviously he is a quarterback that has drop back capabilities, where now you have that element of quarterback movement, whether it's bootlegs, sprint outs, and everything that this guy possesses. The guy's the reigning, NFL MVP. So, I mean, there's a reason why this guy is so dynamic, and then you go into the run game with the three stable backs that they have, 35, 21, 27, very big physical bruising running backs. They got a big hold O-line. So, yeah, it's very demanding on us up front. We know that every single week, but we have a big challenge, being assignment football. We all have an opportunity to go out there and, stick our hands and run our feet through somebody up front, squeezing some gaps off, and have an opportunity to, tackle one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the National Football League.
If you're a defensive end and you're running free and all of a sudden he pulls it out, I mean, what do you look for in a read option?
Yeah, you got different assignments like you're talking about right there. Our defensive ends could be, responsible for different things in some of the option football that we are seeing, and you got to pursue that, inside out. One of the biggest things that, we've been telling our D-line is that, if you can pursue Lamar inside out, meaning that you're making him run lateral, to the sideline, that's the surest tackle in the National Football League's the sideline. I mean, that sideline's never missed a tackle, not in every game that I've been and seen to. So, you're forcing that guy that way and trying to pursue it and run it down, so he can't get his shoulder square and getting running down onto your second level or your safeties, where that guy, obviously flashes and his dynamic ability definitely shows up in those situations.
Jason REBROVICH with us, Jaguars defensive line coach. Let's get into a few of your guys up front. And Kayvon Chason seems to be starting to get stronger and stronger as the last few weeks have gone. What's clicking now for him?
Yeah, and one thing, JP, as I think you and I have had conversations, earlier this year, in our minimal camp that we had and OTAs, and the thing is, you need reps. You got to understand that there's footwork involved in pass rush. There's, a comfort level with the guy next to you in pass rush. You got to analyze the tackle that you're going against. Is he a high puncher? Is he a low puncher? Where's his set point? There's a lot of analyzation of what your pass rush moves are going to be. And now he's getting a feel of how to break that down, how to see it, how to critique it. Where's my plant foot got to be? Where's my hands got to be? Where's my aiming point? And you're starting to see, JP, you're exactly right. Things are turning around. He's getting more confident in everything and more confident you are in something, the better and better you're going to look to go pick on it more and get better at it. And it's clicking. It's working, and it's great to see. Kayvon is one of those guys that wants to get better, loves to get better, always asking questions, constantly on my phone, constantly on email, sending me things, and that's what you love about the young man. The guy wants to be one of the best players and premier players in the National Football League.
Gotta love that when the phone never stops dinging once, and it's your premier pass rusher. That's gotta be
exactly right.
You don't get those guys all the time. One of the strange things about the National Football League is that you can have a year like 2017 where you have one of the great defenses of all time in franchise history, and only a few years later, a lot of those guys go different places. Well, Calais Campbell and YANNICK NGAKOUE have both been traded away. They both end up in Baltimore on the Ravens, the team the Jags are playing this week. How strange is it? I know you've been around this league for a while now, and you've probably seen some of this kind of thing before, but how strange will it be to see Calais and Jan on the other side?
You know, JP, the word that you're using, strange, you know, that's not the first word that comes to me. You know, I feel it as a privilege and an honor, you know, to have that opportunity in the time that I was, you know, I've been here in Jacksonville to be able to coach those two young men who are not only good football players, elite football players in the National Football League, but they're great men. And I had the honor to be around them men, and it's going to be a great time. You know, I mean, obviously that opportunity to go against these guys. You know, the one thing is our players, we always talk about as being competitive. Well, so us coaches are too, you know, and we're going to be competitive against Jan and Calais. And believe me, my competitive spirit's going to be out against them guys too. So, but don't get me wrong, there'll be a few flashes of my eyes every once in a while looking out there, probably seeing them playing a little bit of defense. But, you know, we're going to treat this just like any other game. You know, we're going out there, you know, they're purple and black and we're teal and gold, and we're going to go out there and do the things that we need to do necessary to go win a ball game.
Great stuff. Always good to visit with you. Let's get a W.
I appreciate you, JP. Thank you very much.
Jason REBROVICH, Jaguars defensive line coach, always filled with energy. And it is good to hear, you know, the development as it goes on. You would expect that. There's been no preseason. There was no off-season program on the field. And those reps are important for a guy like Caleb Unchason, a rookie pass rusher trying to work his way in the league. You just got to go do it live to get better.
Well, you do. But, you know, I mean, everyone's in the same boat this year, right? So there are plenty of rookies that are excelling, not necessarily pass rush rookies, but this wasn't, you know, thought to be the greatest pass rush class out there. So Chase Young's having a banner season for Washington. He was the clear-cut number one option at pass rush, and I don't know if they really wanted to play Caleb Unchason like this, and as Todd Wash said, they've done it out of necessity, so it is what it is. You know, nobody's going to feel sorry for the Jags. Baltimore's had rookies that have had to adjust as well, you know, and you just got to try to do your best on the fly, try to pick up some of those reps in practice, and hopefully develop along the way, and whatever we're looking at next year, whether it's a new coaching staff or not, they're going to need some of these young players to have had developed in 2020 and getting some positive something out of a season that's obviously lost in terms of the one-loss record.
Replay the conversation with REBROVICH now on the official Jaguars podcast network presented by VyStar. And if you want to win your share of $10,000 in cash and prizes, check out Jags at Home. It's an interactive second screen experience on game days featuring Ashlyn Sullivan and Eric Dunn. They're on the air just before 1 o'clock today at jagsathome.com. You can play and you can win. We'll return on the Publix Tailgate Show with CBS Sports play-by-play announcer Andrew CATALON discussing James Robinson's milestones and the explosive Ravens offense. The Jags and the Ravens at 1 o'clock, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Tropical Smoothie Cafe. One taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Hey, Florida drivers and motorcycle riders, don't fumble. Do your part to stay safe on our roadways. Florida has observed a significant number of motorcycle fatalities and crashes. Drivers, watch for motorcycles. Don't drive distracted. Motorcycles are hard to see. Take the extra effort to look for them. Riders, play defense. Always ride responsibly. Wear proper gear. Make yourself more visible. Get trained and never drink and ride. On the road, safety is worth way more than 2 points. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Welcome back. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Jags and the Ravens at 1 o'clock in Baltimore. The Jags have dropped 12 in a row. It's a franchise record in a single season. A loss today for the Jaguars would tie the franchise record for all-time losing streak over 2 seasons. That was 2012 and 2013, the last 5 of 2012.
It's bad any way you describe it, JP.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, regular season, 1 season over the course of 2, it's just bad. We know it's bad, but that really puts it into context. Can tie the all-time worst losing streak in franchise history today, and they're significant underdogs in their effort to snap that streak.
Yep, and let's visit with our good friend Andrew CATALON, CBS Sports. He's covered the Jaguars a whole lot over the years. He's back on the game this week. He'll have the call on CBS. Plenty to talk about, including James Robinson's run so far in 2020.
The biggest bright spot for the team this year is James Robinson. Easy. He deserves Pro Bowl and Rookie of the Year consideration, but considering the record, they're 1-12. They've lost 12 straight. He might not get that full recognition he deserves, but, you know, it's not even a surprise anymore when he goes out and gets to these milestones of 1,000 rushing yards. He's closing in on Fred Taylor's franchise rookie rushing record of 1,223. And there's really no doubt in my mind that he's going to get there. Nothing surprises you anymore about James Robinson, and that's been such a pleasure to watch this year.
No doubt about it. And it also seems that the success he's had has not changed the person he is. He seems like a very humble, quiet, workman-like running back. And I think that's also a really good sign too. And, you know, I think Doug Marrone deserves a lot of credit for the way that he tried to create opportunities over the summer for draft picks, undrafted rookies. I mean, it was so difficult to get everyone on the same field with all the protocols and to give undrafted players opportunities and chances. And I think Marrone knew the importance of that. And to his credit, they found this guy, and he's just been tremendous.
Andrew CATALON with us, CBS Sports. When you play 3 quarterbacks, that means you don't have a quarterback. And that's what I think the Jaguars and the fan base and the office has realized as of late. Well, they're going back to Gardner Minshew this week, but they're going back to the off-schedule offense is really what's going to happen now with Gardner. We'll see how long it lasts, but that's really all Doug Marrone can do is put the next best guy out there he feels can get some kind of result this week alone.
Yeah, you know, in watching, and obviously I had a number of Jaguars games earlier in the season, so I did not call any games of Glennon or Luton, but, you know, and just watching the game last week and knowing what I know about Gardner, I think that he probably gives them the best shot of the 3, and I'm sure that's up for debate, but When I think when Gardner plays his A game, he's a good quarterback. He can stand in there, make plays with his feet. He seemed to have a good connection with some of the receivers. I know DJ Chark has been kind of quiet of late. Maybe this will help bring DJ back a little bit. So again, as you said, when you're playing three, you really don't have one. But to me, I think that this was the right move for the game against the Ravens.
Not only is Gardner Minshew starting this week, on the other side, Lamar Jackson is starting. Surprise, surprise. And the reigning NFL MVP. Now, we know that the Jaguars' defense is depleted to begin with, and they've had issues against running teams recently. Cleveland ran all over them with their stable of backs, and then, of course, Derrick Henry goes for 215 yards last week. This is a different type of running attack. Multiple running backs, and then you have Lamar Jackson that can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. If you have any discipline issues in terms of gap integrity, forget it. It's going to be a long day.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that game that Baltimore played on Monday against Cleveland, to me, was the game of the year in the NFL. And what it also did was provide an incredible amount of momentum for Baltimore coming into this game. I mean, you look at their last three games, and they know they got to win all three. This is a team that comes in, red hot, and Lamar was great. I mean, you look at what he did after he came out of the locker room right away, throwing that touchdown, and then the drive to get in field goal range for Justin Tucker, who, by the way, no one else in the NFL can feel as confident as Ravens fans do. I mean, when he ran out there on Monday night, you almost think how he's not going to miss it. Like no one else can feel that in the NFL except for Ravens fans. So I think that he is such a weapon, and obviously had the big kick on Monday night. But this running attack is excellent. It's what they do. And if you don't have multiple ways to stop it, you're in for a long day.
You're talking to a guy who's seen 6 place kickers this year, Andrew.
Yep.
6. Andrew CATALON with us, with CBS Sports. A couple of familiar faces on the Ravens side. Calais Campbell, the reigning Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, was traded to Baltimore. YANNICK NGAKOUE, the defensive end, traded to the Vikings, who later traded him to Baltimore. And Gardner Minshew said this week that he's going to enjoy a little talking back and forth with Calais. He's a great guy, but Ngakoue is going to be out for blood. I think that's a fairly accurate statement.
Yeah, I think Gardner nailed it, right? I mean, I don't think you're going to have to worry about any crazy play from Calais, but this obviously will mean a lot to Ngakoue. We all know how it ended in Jacksonville, and we weren't expecting to see them meet here. Obviously, they did play the Vikings the week before, but this is a little different with Baltimore competing for a playoff spot with Campbell going against the Jags. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real storyline, and it should be interesting to see how it plays out.
Final thought here, Andrew. It's the first time that the active roster has been impacted by COVID-19. They've got 2 guys on the list as of Thursday. Ben Barch was earlier in the week. Trey Herndon on Wednesday added to it. And then that just adds to what has already been a crazy season in terms of guys coming and going off the active roster. The Jaguars have 79 players that have played this year. It's the most in the NFL, and it's the second most in the league since 1993, as far back as the stats go on the official NFL site. Miami had 84 players play last year, and that's when the Jaguars not even dealing with COVID issues really yet. So this is a strange year in the league anyway. The Jags have had so many guys coming and going, and that just feels like the way it's going to be down the stretch too.
Yeah, I think it is such a week-to-week league, and I know that's such a cliche, and that we've used it for years and years in the NFL, but it certainly rings true this year. And, Baltimore obviously went through it real bad on the other side with all of their COVID issues. They've got everyone back but one as of Thursday. So, it's just that's the way it is this year. And, the Jaguars are going to need guys to step up. The Baltimore Ravens are not going to feel bad for anyone in terms of being shorthanded, because they went through it. They went through the ringer too. So that's the way it is, JP. And that's a big number of players that have played. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's a big indication as to why they're 1-12. But you want a little hope? The last time these two teams played, I called the game. We were in London, and it was an absolute blowout, and the Jags won running away. So who knows?
Mercedes Lewis scored 3 touchdowns. He's now playing for the Packers. last I
And
checked.
the big fake punt. There was a lot of little plays in that game. It was a fun day.
It was indeed. We could use one of those down the stretch here. Great to see you, Andrew. Appreciate your time.
You too, JP.
Andrew CATALON, CBS Sports. Yeah, wishful thinking there. That was the last meeting. That was a fun day at Wembley, I'll say.
Oh, no doubt. We could use about a dozen of those next year, though. Let's
right.
save them up. And it's been a while since we've had a few laughers around here.
You can check out the extended interview with Andrew CATALON on the official Jaguars podcast network. And this week's Selfies for Change player is Jackson DeVille. That's right. Get a virtual selfie with him and unlock a donation to tackle social injustice. Get started at TIAABank.com/selfiesforchange. Time for our weekly visit with Jags sideline reporter Rick Balloux, presented by McGowan's Heating and Air. We call it, Has Rick Lost It?
All right, Jaguars are in Baltimore, and I gave it a lot of thought about what I would do this afternoon, and it reminded me of the first time ever going to Baltimore. It was that matchup between the Jaguars and the Ravens, August 31st, 1997. Mark Brunell was hurt. Enter Rob Johnson. What a game for Johnson, a huge one, including a couple of second-half touchdowns to Jimmy Smith, and it was a 28-27 victory. It was the only time that Rob Johnson started the entire year. It ended up being significant for the Jaguars because it ended up producing a trade to Buffalo for a first-rounder who in return would become Fred Taylor. And it's just bizarre. Rob Johnson went on to be 9-17 in 4 years for the Buffalo Bills and, was soon out of football. Fred Taylor went on to become one of the greatest Jacksonville Jaguars of all time. But anyway, that year in 1997 was at the old Memorial Stadium. That's right, the stadium that Johnny Unitas built, and Raymond Berry and Earl Weaver and Frank Robinson and Jim Palmer. And I remember sitting in this old horseshoe, with apologies to Ohio State. That's the way it felt in this Memorial Stadium. And here comes Art Modell, and he's walking by slow. He's surrounded by security, and I'm thinking, we're not in Cleveland, where he would be hated. We're in Baltimore, where he's loved. He's brought back football after losing the Baltimore Colts. Anyway, it was a very unusual story. Years later, as a matter of fact, last year, back in Baltimore and enjoying ourselves and watching those 3 days worth of practice between the Ravens and the Jags and watching Nick Foles go up. He was the better quarterback, in my opinion, those 3 days than Lamar Jackson. Obviously, everything has gone sideways since then. Entered today's game. YANNICK is there. Calais Campbell is there. I think out of all the offseason moves that the Jaguars made, letting Campbell go ended up hurting them the most. His tutelage, his expertise, his leadership was missed both on the field and off. Would the Jaguars win today in Baltimore? Find that hard to believe, but crazier things have happened.
They have. Has Rick Lost It? Presented by McGowan's Heating and Air, proudly keeping your family comfortable since 1974. Call 904-264-COOL. We're back in a moment. We'll hear from right guard A.J. Cann. He caught up with Ashton Sullivan this week in the Baptist Health Connection with a player. The Jags and the Ravens at 1 o'clock in Baltimore. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
If you've ever been in a vehicle crash, then you know the impact caused by a collision. Now imagine the force of a crash so great, people are killed. My name is Eric. I sat behind the wheel and drove drunk. I caused a crash that killed 2 young women, Megan and Lisa. Now, I sit alone in my jail cell. Megan and Lisa were taken forever, and their families and friends were left devastated. Don't drink and drive, and remember our roadways are connected to our families.
This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Hey, Florida drivers and motorcycle riders, don't fumble. Do your part to stay safe on our roadways. Florida has observed a significant number of motorcycle fatalities and crashes. Drivers, watch for motorcycles. Don't drive distracted. Motorcycles are hard to see. Take the extra effort to look for them. Riders, play defense. Always ride responsibly. Wear proper gear. Make yourself more visible. Get trained and never drink and ride. On the road, safety is worth way more than 2 points. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here for the best barbecue in town. That's Bono's. And now it's the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All season long, you can get Bono's barbecue at 6 different locations in Everbank Field. You also get Bono's barbecue at 15 locations all around town with fast, friendly service, clean family restaurants, and that great taste of Bono's barbecues. If you want great barbecue, you want Bono's. And remember this, if there ain't a pit, it ain't legit. That's Bono's.
Like working outdoors and want better pay and benefits? Superior Fence and Rail is seeking full-time fence installers with pay ranging from $16 to $25 an hour and more with commercial experience. Superior Fence and Rail will train you to work with their professional team and provide you with all the tools you need to be a top-notch installer. Get off the fence. Call Superior Fence and Rail today and start your career.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
Jaguars Game Day presented by ViStar Credit Union. The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at the bank in Jacksonville. And the Jags and the Ravens coming up at 1 o'clock in Baltimore. And Crystal Restaurants remains committed to the health and safety of guests and team members. Drive-thrus open 6 a.m. to midnight. Restaurants are offering delivery through Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. And you missed out on the Crystal Chicks, Mike. They're gone.
Yeah, I think Linda Fortunato beat us both to them this week.
You got to be quick in
You
this
really
studio.
do. They don't last long.
No, they don't. So
The
make
classic crystals will make up for
it. we got double dip today. It was fantastic. So make it part of your game day tradition as well. And, of course, you can catch the latest archives of all Jaguars.com and Jags radio shows on the official Jaguars podcast network presented by ViStar. Time now for the Baptist Health Connection with a player. This week, it's right guard A.J. Cann visiting with Ashlyn Sullivan.
A.J. Gardner-Minshew back at starting quarterback this week, and this is the team's fourth quarterback switch, 3 different quarterbacks. So for you as an offensive lineman, when you hear there is a change at quarterback, how does that change your routine, the prep throughout the week? Does it change it at all?
You know, I think more so what changes is like how you communicate with the quarterback, because each quarterback communicates different. Everybody sounds different. The cadence may be a little different. So that's, probably the biggest thing to adjust to, just making sure you're in tune with how they call their cadences and how they communicate. That's the biggest, change when you got different quarterbacks rolling it out.
You have been here from the start, training camp. I remember we had just started talking about James Robinson, and now you saw last week his 1,000-yard milestone, and he stayed pretty consistent since training camp. And it is the typical, put your head down, grind, and get success. But for you, you're closer than most on the offensive line. What has it been like seeing him through this entire journey of this season?
It's funny because, I get, time every now and then to sit and chat with him. And that's a cool kid, man. Like you just said, he just keeps his head down, go to work. Even when you're talking to him, you just got to, I try to break him a little bit because, he's quiet, he don't say much. But, that's in the league, that's the kind of team a lot of guys like, man, just quiet, head down, go to work and, do what's asked of him, man. He's a great dude.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's been mentioning that. Even his teammates can't get much out of him, and he's pretty quiet with us as well, with the media. Have you been able to shake him even a little bit?
Oh yeah, man, I get him laughing, I get him going a little bit. You know, I try to make him laugh. He does though. Once he open up, he's a cool cat. He can laugh and enjoy like most of us. But that's just his personality. You know, he's quiet, but at the end of the day, you know, if you break him, he'll have a little fun.
Love it. All right, so we are getting ready for the holiday season, AJ, and I know that you can relate to a lot of dads out there. You have 2 little ones at home and a newborn and a little girl. So how many doll houses have we been building? What's been the vibe at home getting ready for the holidays?
Well, like, you know, we in the good phase now. She really can't ask for anything yet. So it's just like she enjoys just opening things up and playing with boxes more than toys and stuff now. So I'm just trying to enjoy that a little more before she gets to the point where she sees something on TV and she's like, oh, but I want that. I'm just trying to enjoy the family time right now with them until we get to that point.
So just a simple cardboard box, no Barbie dream house or anything like that?
Not yet. Not yet. You know, she plays with them from time to time, but she's not as interested in it as she would be when she gets older. So I'm just trying to enjoy this process right now.
Love it. A cheap version of Christmas, a cardboard box. All right, AJ Cann, thanks so much for joining Jaguars All Access.
That's all she needs, man, to entertain a 2-year-old.
AJ Cann been around here for a long time now on the offensive line. Signed a second deal with the Jags, a draft pick out of South Carolina some years ago now, and that's the Baptist Health connection with a player this week, offensive lineman AJ Cann. Baptist Health, changing health care for good. Time now, Mike, for our weekly visit with Director of Player Engagement Marcus Pollard, who gives us an insight to the team this week, headed into Week 15.
A weekly feature of the Publix Tailgate Show is our visit with Director of Player Engagement, Marcus Pollard.
Holding it down, JP.
Yes, you're still masked up. I like that.
Yeah, you still got to stay. You got to say what you got to do with all these protocols. You got to do what you got to do when you got to do it.
What you said. I agree. So here we are. It's Week 15. The Jags have dropped 12 in a row now. 3 weeks to go of the regular season. You can't just pack up and go home now. I mean, you got to play these 3 games and play out the schedule and continue to try to do things the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, that's the one thing that we have to make certain that we continue to do. I think our staff, our players, our coaching staff have continued to insist that's what we do. It makes it a little bit easier when you have so many young guys because they don't know anything else other than compete and play hard. If you had some older guys in this situation, it may make it a little bit more of a challenge because they're a little bit seasoned. I don't have to do it, that kind of deal. But when you got such a young team, it's easy to convince those guys to play hard. And they've been doing it, you know, and still haven't lost 12 in a row.
Let's start on offense and the positive. James Robinson is over 1,000 rushing yards this year, and he is closing in on Fred Taylor's Jaguars rookie record of 1,223 yards. He's inside 200 yards. From that, it's just been super consistent week after week after week, down after down. The run last week was his longest of the year, the fourth quarter run, the 47-yarder. He just keeps doing it week after week, and it's not even really a surprise anymore.
That's right. It's not a surprise anymore. So, you know what's also not a surprise? Is that he's got more yards than he has words in his locker room. James Robinson doesn't say anything. And so I'm really impressed when you got such a guy with such talent that doesn't boast, doesn't brag, doesn't, hey, look at me, shout to the world, hey, look what I'm doing, look what I've done. It's very impressive, especially when you use him in the same sentence with a great back as in Fred Taylor, who played here for so many years with such a phenomenal career. Hopefully he'll get that gold jacket one day. So very proud of James and the effort, coaching staff, and the offensive line. Sometimes the offensive line don't get a lot of credit in that, and James won't tell them because he doesn't talk. And so I'm just going to tell the offensive line, if you listen, you probably not. Shout out to the O-line for a great job helping James this year.
Marcus Pollard with us. Gardner Minshew is back in as the quarterback, another change at that position for the Jags. As a receiver or somebody who catches the football, a tight end, how difficult is it to go through multiple quarterback changes like this in a season? I'm sure there are different styles, different ways they go about things in the huddle, at the line of scrimmage. How challenging is that? How frustrating can that be for a receiving group?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, JP. I think one aspect is that's your job. Catch the ball no matter who's throwing it. So that's your job, to get open, make plays. But then on the other hand, it can do a lot for your confidence. It's like, okay, who do we have playing for us? Who can we trust to get us the ball? So it can go both ways. But I think our guys are the guys that's going to be that first group of guys. I got to get open. I got to go make plays no matter who's calling the shots, who's throwing the ball. Let's go make plays. I think our guys will.
Marcus Pollard with us. Let's flip it around to the defense. It has been a little rough lately against the run. Well, they played really good running offenses as of late. Cleveland can run it all day long. We know what Derrick Henry just did. And guess what? The Baltimore Ravens are right up there at the top of the league as well. But it's a different style of running offense. When you have Lamar Jackson able to break open 70-yard touchdown runs, that changes everything, and discipline is key this week.
Absolutely. We have to be defensively sound. We have to be gap sensitive and making certain that we have somebody on Lamar, because he's such a phenomenal back. He's dynamic as a quarterback. You know, he can still throw it when he needs to. If you watched the game last week, he didn't throw it maybe 15 times, I think, and he completed, maybe 8 or 9 of them. But the ones that he completed were tremendous throws when they needed them. And when you have somebody like that in the backfield, it makes their offense that more potent, because you have to really spy that kind of a player, because he's so dramatic and dynamic and carrying the football.
All right. We'll see what the Jags have in store this week against the Baltimore Ravens. Thanks for the time, as always. We'll catch you again next week.
Sounds good. In the meantime, I'll be holding it down, JP.
Marcus Pollard, Director of Player Engagement for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Our weekly visit with him to get some insight. We mentioned this earlier, but 79 different players have touched the field this year. It's the most in franchise history, and it is, in fact, the second most in league history, not just in 93. There is the oddity of the 87 season, the replacement player season, that would have more than 84 than the Dolphins, but I'm not really counting that one. The Dolphins last year, 84 in a regular, normal year, is the record, and then the Jaguars 79 this year, and who knows what happens today if somebody else jumps on and is up and playing for the first time. It could be in the 80s.
Well, look at what happened with the Dolphins. They got a quarterback, and the very next year they're in the playoff hunt, right? Right now they would be in if the season ended today, which of course it doesn't, but they're in the 7th spot. So maybe the Jags can look to that to inspire a quick turnaround as well.
Let's come back. The second hour of the Publix Tailgate show ahead. We'll get the top headlines, and we'll go to the booth for the first time today. It's our weekly visit with our resident first-rounders, Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman. The Jags and the Ravens at 1 o'clock in Baltimore. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio. Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, the CSI Companies is one of the fastest-growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit thecsicompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for the CSI Companies.
Hey Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville. Jaguars fans, be there for the final home game of the year as the Chicago Bears visit TIAA Bank Field December 27th. It's our annual fan appreciation game and our chance to say thank you for being Duval together all year long. Tickets are still available at Jaguars.com or by calling 904-633-2000.
Bring the noise to the bank to help close out the year with a bang.
Second touchdown of the game from James Robinson. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets today.
Hey, Florida drivers and motorcycle riders, don't fumble. Do your part to stay safe on our roadways. Florida has observed a significant number of motorcycle fatalities and crashes. Drivers, watch for motorcycles. Don't drive distracted. Motorcycles are hard to see. Take the extra effort to look for them. Riders, play defense. Always ride responsibly. Wear proper gear. Make yourself more visible. Get trained and never drink and ride. On the road, safety is worth way more than 2 points. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Hey Jags fans, heading to TIAA Bank for a game? Take advantage of Jags Pay and keep your stadium transactions touch-free. Jags Pay is an all-new partnership between the Jaguars and Tap It to give our fans a contactless payment option for all concessions and merchandise. It's fast, safe, and easy to use.
Just download the official Jaguars app on any mobile device, tap Jags Pay, and set up your secure payment method. You're all set. To learn more, visit jaguars.com/JagsPay. See you at the bank.
For over 20 years, TIAA Bankfield has teamed up with Siemens to provide a next-level game day experience for Jaguars fans. From lighting, safety systems, and keeping our fans cool to helping power up our massive video boards, Siemens solutions ensure our venue stays in peak condition. Now with their powerful cloud-based software solution, MindSphere, sensors in our field monitor moisture, fertilization, and temperature data to get to the root of the problem before they become real problems for our turf. Just like our team, we're working together to unlock our potential and get the win. Siemens, ingenuity for life.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, the Jags and the Ravens coming up in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium. A 1 o'clock kickoff time in Week 15. The Jags trying to snap a 12-game losing skid. Who needs a punter anyway, Mike?
Oh, not if you're not going to punt, right? We're just going to get first down after first down, a lot of scores. Be more aggressive on fourth down today, JP, perhaps. But, yeah, Logan Cook out with an illness. Aldrick Rosas has never punted before, but he will today. And I guess he's a better option than anybody else because there's no punter on the practice squad. There's also no backup kicker now that Chase McLaughlin has been signed by the New York Jets off the practice squad. So hope Rosas doesn't strain anything in warm-ups today, trying something he's never done before. If he does, they may cut it all loose today, JP. We're going for a lot of two-point conversions and fourth down opportunities.
It also means a change in the operation on placements today, too, because
Right,
Cook
yeah,
was the
new
holder.
holder.
So Tyler Davis most likely will be the holder, the rookie tight end out of Georgia Tech, if he's up. I mean, that's the other question, too. It might be worth putting him up just for that today.
You might have to.
I mean, that's one of those situations now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. 39 degrees currently in Baltimore. There was a little mixed snow and rain earlier today, but it should clear off by around kickoff today. Temperatures in the mid-40s on the Inner Harbor. Let's get to today's top stories and start with the noise in the system. The Jags have 3 games to go. They're 1-12 and currently would pick second in the 2021 NFL Draft. Well, linebacker Myles Jack deleted some of his social media accounts this year, but even then, he still hears the noise.
You know, you hear it, like, you can't run from it. Even, like, when you go out to the gas station and, you know, you run into somebody, they're talking about Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or the tight end from Florida, like, all those guys. So, I mean, you can't run from it. Like, it is what it is. And if you turn on ESPN, you're going to see it, too. So, obviously, like, for me, like, I'm like, nah, heck no. I want to win these next 3-4 games and, you know what I mean, blow all that. But I get it from a fan perspective, you know what I mean? But we're still out there fighting for our jobs, fighting for our livelihoods. And at the end of the day, the NFL doesn't pay losers. Like, they pay winners. So you win, you get rewarded. You lose, you know, it gets kind of ugly. So from our perspective, we're like, nah, we're not going out there tanking. Like, if anybody's thinking that, we're not doing that. Like, I promise.
Myles Jack this week, he was on the conference call for about 20 minutes. I think it's about the second time this year we've been able to hear from Myles Jack and get some insight from him. And, you know, that's about as plain as it gets. The NFL pays winners. It doesn't pay losers.
I would totally disagree. Everyone's making big money in the NFL. Myles Jack, how much are you making? What's your record? Give me a break. I mean, the NFL pays everybody. If you can play, you can play, despite what your team's record is. Now, that may be true at the quarterback position, but, you know, as a general rule, plenty of guys off of bad teams get paid in the National Football League. But I am impressed that Myles Jack is aware that there's been a lot of talk about Kyle Pitts being coveted by the Jaguar faithful out there as one of their first-round selections.
By the way, just moments ago, Pitts opted out of the bowl game, and he will be going into the draft.
I don't blame him.
There you go. The Florida tight end. Quarterback Gardner Minshew, back in the starting role this week for the Jags. Head coach Doug Marrone was asked about his confidence level in putting Minshew back out there for the first time since week 7.
When you're a coach and you name someone that's going to play and go in there and you put whoever on the field, I think you're always going to have full confidence. I don't think you're ever going to get someone that's going to say, well, we'll put him out there and I got my fingers crossed, or, oh, gosh, I hope he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, you know, anyone that you're putting out there to do a certain assignment, whatever it may be, special teams, defense, offense, you have to have that type of confidence in them.
And offensive coordinator Jay Gruden knows the style is different for the offense with Minshew in there calling the shots.
I think the big thing with Gardner is a different style. The man's a little bit of different type of ways to go about the offense. He moves around a lot back there in the pocket, so our receivers got to get back used to that for off-schedule plays, which happened once or twice in the game. Just a matter of getting back used to him and calling plays for him and getting him back comfortable in the pocket.
And it can change the way the line blocks, obviously. If all of a sudden Gardner's running somewhere and somebody's holding on to a defensive lineman, then you can have some flags there. But the receivers have to play a different style as well when things break down, if they break down early.
For good and bad, right? I mean, I think from everything we've gathered, Jay Gruden would prefer a quarterback who doesn't make as many unscheduled plays. He stands in the pocket, and that's not something Gardner does to the same degree as some other guys. So there are pluses and minuses on both sides. Right? He can get out of trouble, and he can use his legs, and he'll pick up some key first downs, and he will make some plays. But when you're leaving the pocket early, you also miss some throws, which can be frustrating for receivers. You miss the opportunity to make some throws, I should say. Not just the physical act of missing a throw, but you don't hang in there long enough, you're going to not see some guys breaking open later in their routes. So you're right, JP. The wide receivers need to be very aware that they continue to kind of work in a scramble drill when he escapes the pocket. But, I think given his druthers, Jay Gruden would have him right there in the pocket and being able to deliver the football from that platform to all the different areas of the field. But that hasn't been Gardner's strength.
Minshew going up against a couple of familiar faces today, Calais Campbell and YANNICK NGAKOUE on the other side for the Ravens. Not having big seasons statistically, but Campbell this week said he's looking forward to trash-talking Minshew. Minshew, not quite.
Oh, geez. No, I'm not going to talk trash to Calais, man. I know Calais. Calais is too nice of a guy, that's – I know it's not real coming from Calais, man. We're too cool, I hope. Now, Yannick's going to be out for blood. But no, man, me and Calais – I think he's going to take care of me, I hope. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun playing against, former teammates. It's one of the cool things about the league. It makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, so Gardner Minshew, looking forward to that. Now, there were reports just moments ago that Calais Campbell was going through some early workouts to see about that calf issue he's been battling, and we'll see, about 23 minutes or so when the inactives come out, what the Ravens will have to offer today in terms of Calais Campbell and his status.
And Calais on the season had one big game. I think it was against Dallas. He had 3 sacks. He's only had a sack in one other game this year. So he's stout against the run, but his pass rush skills have not been very evident this season. And you look at the way it went, I understand Jaguar fans are always going to love Calais Campbell. Very understandable. He's one of the most beloved players who's ever played for this franchise, despite only being here for 3 years. But the decision to not pay him $15 million this year, based on the way the season has gone, I don't think he would have accounted for many more wins for this football team. I think was a smart one on the Jaguars' part. I know you could be a fan in any way you like. There are a lot of folks out there that said, I don't care. I don't care about the record. We just love Calais. We want him to be part of this franchise. And if that's your point of view, then you're going to be disappointed. But I think from a purely football perspective, I don't think they made the wrong move to let him go this year.
Let's flip to the Jags defense. They're trying to contain one of the most explosive players in the NFL. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and defensive coordinator Todd Wash says they had a practice field plan this week.
We got a wideout playing quarterback this week in practice, but at the same time, we were joking. I said we should go in walkthrough mode and let the quarterback just play normal speed, and then that's what it's going to be like on Sunday because he is extremely fast. He can hurt you. It's supposed to be a drop back pass, and he's going to run for 40 or 50. So, but we got a wide receiver playing quarterback for us, giving us a real good look. The first series, it's going to be different because he plays at a totally different level than anybody else in this league.
It was practice squad wide receiver Terry Godwin until he went on the practice squad COVID-19 list this week. Then it was Nathan Cottrell, a practice squad running back, and then it was Keelan Cole at one point late in the week. So they're trying to figure it out, but it is a tough scout, I'll say that.
Yeah, somebody brought up this week, why not Denard Robinson, right, on the coaching staff? He's much more that type of player. I mean, he is as close as you've got to Lamar Jackson affiliated with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The problem is, no matter who you've got in there, JP, they just can't replicate everything that it brings to the table, including that fear that he puts in defensive players. When he's coming at you, it's not just the speed, it's is he going to embarrass me with those subtle, shifty moves that can leave me grasping for air in the open field. He is so dangerous. And he plays with not a whole lot of regard for his body either, which can get him in a little bit of trouble at times. But with the ball in his hands, once he breaks containment, there are not many players as exciting to watch in the National Football League as Lamar Jackson.
There you have some of today's top stories, and the Jaguars Game Day radio broadcast is presented by ViStar Credit Union. If you believe no car payment for 90 days is better, join ViStar. It's a standard feature on new or used car loans, and ViStar never forgets that it's your money. Let's take another look around the National Football League.
All right, we continued Week 15 yesterday with a Saturday doubleheader now that the college football season is winding down. We got that yesterday. We'll get a tripleheader next weekend on Christmas weekend. Yesterday it was the Buffalo Bills clinching an AFC East title with a 48-17 win over the Broncos in Denver as quarterback Josh Allen accounted for 4 touchdowns, 2 passing, 2 rushing. The Bills improved to 11-3 on the season. Likewise, Green Bay improved to 11-3 in the nightcap last night with a 24-16 win over Carolina. Aaron Rodgers throwing for a touchdown, running for another one. Aaron Jones had a rushing score for the Packers as well. Carolina fought hard. They fumbled at the 1-yard line. They also had the ball under a minute left with a chance to go down and tie the game with a 2-point conversion if they were able to get it. They were not. So Green Bay maintains their spot atop the NFC playoff crowd with that win and a mark of 11-3. They've long since clinched the NFC North title. Atlanta wide receiver Julio Jones among the players who won't suit up today due to injury. Jones, it came out, recently received a platelet-rich plasma injection to help heal his strained hamstring. And he says despite the fact that Atlanta is going nowhere right now, he is intending on coming back if he can at all play. Likewise, Christian McCaffrey, that's been the refrain for Carolina, who played last night. Unable to go here in Week 15, hopes to get back on the field in Week 16. Other players who will not suit up this week include, but not limited to, Alex Smith of the Washington football team, Deebo Samuel of the 49ers, Kenny Golladay of the Lions, although they're hopeful to have Matt Stafford available at quarterback today. Damian Harris of the Patriots, Myles Gaskin, the Dolphins running back, Houston running back Duke Johnson, Minnesota tight end Kyle Rudolph, and linebacker Eric Kendricks both out. Remember, Kendricks injured a calf in pregame warmups against the Jags a couple of weeks back. Still hasn't been able to return to the field. And Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas will not suit up when New Orleans faces Kansas City today. But Drew Brees is back under center, returning from a situation where he had 11 cracked ribs. The story is Brees will get the start. Jameis Winston will be his primary backup, and they'll have an extended package of plays for Taysom Hill as kind of a jack-of-all-trades player who started the last 3 games. The interesting thing will be to see when the Saints season ultimately ends, what do they do about the quarterback position, because they signed Taysom Hill to a 2-year, I think, $21 million deal, ostensibly saying, hey, he's kind of our next guy up. Jameis Winston on a 1-year deal, seen as more of a classic passing quarterback, and if they can get the interceptions under control, they may decide to go that route, but that's for the offseason. Right now, the Saints trying to keep pace with Green Bay in the NFC. No matter what they do today, even if they upset the Chiefs, they'll remain at best in second place in the NFC playoff picture heading into Week 16.
And by the way, the Bills returned home and were greeted by, hundreds are the reports of fans at the airport in Buffalo.
Chanting MVP for Josh Allen.
That's right, yes.
He played like one last night. He's had some really, really good games. Played great against Pittsburgh last week as well. So he kind of had, I wouldn't say a swoon in midseason. He started off red hot. He's kind of back on that now, but I think most people feel that he's been eclipsed in the MVP race, although, one of the leading contenders is Aaron Rodgers, and it wasn't a stellar performance last night, but the Packers got the win, so they're 11-3. That's probably, at this point, good enough to keep Rodgers among the top contenders out there and maybe the favorite, although, you got to consider Derrick Henry,
correct,
Patrick Mahomes. Look, is there a more valuable player than Patrick Mahomes? Maybe not, but he's going to suffer from Michael Jordan syndrome over the course of his career. You're going to say, how many times can we give this guy the award as the best player in the league?
Farah and Farah reminds you to continue to wear a mask and help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Farah and Farah, protecting you and your family since 1979, and we're back with First Rounds on Us, our weekly visit with our resident first-round picks, Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman. The Jaguars and the Ravens tee it up at 1 o'clock in Baltimore, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
At Jacksonville International Airport, the health and safety of travelers is their #1 priority. They're doing everything they can to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, from adhering to CDC cleaning guidelines, requiring facial coverings in the terminal, and encouraging social distancing at every point of the airport experience. For a comprehensive look at what the airport, airlines, and their shops, restaurants, and rental cars are doing to keep passengers safe, please visit jacksairportcares.com to learn more.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the large format printing services running in high gear, creating large banners for marketing events, full vehicle wraps. Learn how Kessler changes the game with print and direct mail innovation. From eye-catching restaurant menus to real estate yard signs and event displays, Kessler does it all. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At VyStar, we believe in better convenience, so members can bank any way they want, whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 fee-free ATMs across North America. We believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join VyStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
You're working from home. So how do you connect with coworkers and clients? With RingCentral, the #1 global communication solution for business. RingCentral makes talking, texting, collaborating, and video calls easy. And it's all on one platform. And when we say everyone should be connected, we mean it. It's why we're giving RingCentral free to educators, health providers, and nonprofits. Learn more at ringcentral.com. Welcome to the new RingCentral.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field, and the Publix Tailgate show rolls along ahead of the Jaguars-Ravens matchup in Week 15. Kickoff time set for 1 o'clock Eastern. And time now for first rounds on us.
New York Jets, first round choice, Jeff Lageman.
Jacksonville Jaguars have selected tackle Southern California, Tony Baselli.
Our resident first-round draft picks, Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli, join us all the way up in the booth here in TIAA Bank Field. The game is in Baltimore today, but good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, JP. It's a beautiful day in paradise.
It is here. It's a little chilly in Baltimore today, though. You know, we always say, oh, it can't get worse. It could always get worse, and we're finding out today when you don't have a punter available what could happen today.
Yeah, it's obviously, let's hope everything goes okay with Logan Cook and he gets through this and it's nothing too serious. Obviously, getting COVID's no fun, and
he's not on the COVID list though.
He's not. It's just an illness.
Just an illness.
Oh, it's just an illness.
Yeah,
whatever the illness is. Sorry, I thought it was on the COVID list.
I don't want people getting all worried. He's not on the COVID list.
Whatever he has, let's hope it goes quickly and he gets through it.
One of the best punters in the league.
One of the best punters in the league. The thing that is surprising to me, guys, is in a era that we live in with the pandemic and the expanded rosters, and you know that at any moment someone could test positive for COVID, get contact traced by COVID, and be unavailable for the game. Why the Jaguars do not have a punter on their practice squad and don't have somebody that, if this happens, you can call them up and be ready to go, because you can't just sign them off the street anymore, because you have to have 5 days according to the COVID protocols, and
that's 5 days even if you sign a guy off another team's practice
That's
squad.
right. They have
Does
to be,
not matter.
They have to be quarantined and go through the procedures. And I'm just shocked that they did not have anyone on their practice squad, Jeff.
Yeah, I am too. And in a perfect world, which this is not a perfect world in 2020 or anything close to it, but you'd like to have somebody that can kick and can punt on your practice squad and have that role in one person. And but look, I guess they don't put a lot of value in the punting position, I guess, because otherwise you would have somebody on the practice squad that could punt, or you believe.
So we're going to go with the guy who's never punted in his life.
Well, maybe he's really good. I mean, Tony, look, I punted in high school. Did you?
No.
I actually punted with high tops.
Yeah, no. There was no punting from this kid.
So, I mean, maybe they got a guy that is on the regular roster who was an outstanding high school punter. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you never know.
This is the NFL, Jeff. This is not like the local high school where you just roll out the offensive lineman or defensive lineman or anyone else to go punt.
Wouldn't it be funny, though, if all of a sudden they let Shatley.
You got Shatley back
punt.
there bombing them.
Yeah. and Shatley kicks a 70-yarder and makes us all look stupid for saying anything about not carrying a punter.
But it's surprising to me more than anything, guys, that they were not prepared for this situation.
Well, and the NFL actually changed the rules yesterday in terms of signing guys off practice squads. You no longer have to wait 5 days. You can, if they've been in a team's testing protocol, you can immediately go to the new team and be eligible to play right away if you've been in any team's testing protocol. So I don't know if the Jaguars thought to take advantage of that by trying to sign a punter off somebody else's team, but maybe they just feel guys are going to be that successful offensively today.
Interesting that you say that, Mike.
Great call, Mike. Great call.
That really, I mean, it was a rule that didn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, if somebody, and I was actually asking some of the people that's their responsibility. I was like, well, look, what happens if you sign a guy off of Tampa's practice squad and he just leaves from Tampa and comes over here? And they said still have to quarantine for 5 days. And it's the dumbest rule. And so I'm glad that they changed that. The other way that you don't have to quarantine for 5 days that has been in effect all along is that if somebody has tested positive already for COVID, then they can immediately join a roster. But it has to be an NFL-confirmed COVID situation.
All right, guys, Lamar Jackson's lining up on the other side today, and they have a stable of running backs. Is this well, I know we just played Derrick Henry last week, but these guys are right up there among the best rushing offenses in football, but it's a different feel when you have a quarterback who can take it the distance from anywhere.
Because it's multiple. When they do the read option stuff and, all of a sudden, okay, are you going to hand the ball off to Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins, or is Lamar Jackson going to keep it, or is Lamar Jackson going to pull it out of their stomachs and throw the ball? This is by far the most demanding game for a linebacker that there is when you face a quarterback like Lamar Jackson with that scheme. But then you add his speed on top of it, Tony, and it's almost a nightmare.
Jeff, explain to everyone listening why it's so hard, because you did a great job earlier in the pregame show of talking about, because the running quarterback, forget about just how dynamic Lamar Jackson, that's a whole nother issue.
Right.
But when you have the running quarterback, it's a numbers game, it's one-on-one. So explain that to everyone.
Here's the numbers game, okay? On offense, in base personnel, you're essentially in 5 offensive linemen, a tight end, a fullback, and a running back. And so a defense that wants to fortify their defense to stop the run, they're going to play 8-man front, which outnumbers an offense's potential 7 blockers, which is your 5 offensive linemen, the tight end, the fullback, because the tailback's going to carry it. Well, now all of a sudden the quarterback becomes a viable option to run, and a really good run option. Well, now you can't outnumber the offense. So essentially it becomes man-to-man or one-on-one. And so when Lamar Jackson is faking the handoff off the running back defensively, you have one guy that's assigned to the running back. When Lamar Jackson keeps it, you have one guy assigned to Lamar Jackson, and that goes pretty much standard when they go from regular personnel and they go to 3 wides, then the Jaguars end up cutting back down to a 6-man front. You're still trying to outnumber, but because the quarterback is a runner, you never can outnumber it.
Yeah, and it makes it even harder when it's Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Imagine, Jeff, you
World-class
being
speed.
the defensive end and your responsibility is the quarterback and you're one-on-one in the open field with him. I mean, it's a nightmare.
And most teams, when they get in that situation, okay, the defensive end's responsible for the quarterback's giving it to the running back because they don't want to have their quarterback worry about a defensive end because most quarterbacks aren't Lamar Jackson. But that's how dynamic he is that if he is one-on-one with a defensive end, they look at that as a win. They're like, fine, let's let him keep it because he's going to make the defensive end look stupid and his jock's going to be on the ground, and there goes Lamar Jackson.
Hey, guys, let's talk about DJ Chark here for a minute. He's had 3 games this year in which he scored a touchdown. He's had 3 total games in which he's had more than 56 yards receiving, and he struggled at times with no matter who has been the quarterback on this football team. Why has he struggled so much this year?
It's a great question and something Tony and I talked about a little bit earlier. And Tony, you always have to start with the person first before you start saying, okay, there's other people. That's the reason why.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right, Jeff. I mean, watching DJ Chark this year, I don't think the routes are as crisp. Obviously, he had some injuries earlier. You're not seeing the great separation. And I think the most concerning thing for me is the body language. And everyone says, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, that carries over. It affects, I think, how you play. It affects the team. It affects the offense because when you start sending bad vibes and bad body language, it shows that you're frustrated, which I get with all the different quarterbacks, but also I think it sends the wrong message. Instead of fighting through it, competing, and continue to do whatever you can, because Jeff's right, it starts with the individual. It'd be one thing if we were watching DJ Chark and he is getting separation and winning and the balls are off target. I mean, look at last week against the Tennessee Titans.
Malcolm
Butler was covering him like a glove, and there was no separation. He was not winning. That's not on the quarterback. That's on you as a player, and so I think it starts with DJ.
All right, guys, let's come back in just a moment. We'll have the Geico Fantasy Outlook. We've got the inactives due in just a little bit as well, any moment, in fact. And plenty more ahead. The Jags and the Ravens coming up in Baltimore at 1 o'clock today. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
The best way to feel love is to share it at Hanania Subaru of Orange Park. We always go the extra mile with bigger selection, more savings, our best service. Only Subaru of Orange Park gives you a nationwide lifetime warranty and 1-year complimentary maintenance on new and used vehicles. Plus, when you get a new Subaru during the Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities at Hanania Subaru of Orange Park. Online at SubaruofOrangePark.com. See dealer website for full details.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
Hey, Florida drivers and motorcycle riders, don't fumble. Do your part to stay safe on our roadways. Florida has observed a significant number of motorcycle fatalities and crashes. Drivers, watch for motorcycles. Don't drive distracted. Motorcycles are hard to see. Take the extra effort to look for them. Riders, play defense. Always ride responsibly. Wear proper gear. Make yourself more visible. Get trained and never drink and ride. On the road, safety is worth way more than 2 points. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now. Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Cecine's Office Systems helps you manage information more efficiently, offering a full line of award-winning copiers, printers, electronic document storage solutions, mailing solutions, and IT solutions. Founded in 1981, Cecine's continues to offer unmatched customer support and world-class scalable technologies to both small businesses and Fortune 500 companies. Located in Jacksonville, Daytona, Orlando, Tampa, and Gainesville, Cecine's is ready with your office solutions. Call 888-771-2679 or visit sissines.com today.
Welcome back. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. The Jags and the Ravens coming up in Week 15. 1 o'clock kickoff time today. Let's get to the inactives. The Jaguars have announced 5 official inactives today. Quarterback Jake Luton is down. Sidney Jones, the fourth, the cornerback, inactive. Luke Barku, cornerback, inactive. Quincy Jones, linebacker, will not play. Daniel Ross, defensive tackle, inactive as well. That's on top of Logan Cook not traveling with the team. That's why he's not listed on the inactives today. The Jaguars inactives are in. There you go.
Well, if you're a Jaguar fan who loves Calais Campbell, you do not have to be torn today about whether to root for Campbell to have success against your team because Calais will not be playing.
Wow.
He is officially inactive today. I saw reports that said he was clearly still limited in attempting to warm up today, so he will not be playing today for the Ravens. Pair of starting cornerbacks as well. Jimmy Smith and Marcus Peters both ruled out today, as is running back Mark Ingram, who was basically almost a healthy scratch against Cleveland and barely saw the field at all with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards really taking over this backfield. Jihad Ward, the defensive end, linebacker Christian Welch, and center Tristan Colin Castillo joined their teammates on the inactive list today for Baltimore.
There you have it. The inactives are in. The Jags and the Ravens coming up today at 1 o'clock. And time now for the Geico Fantasy Outlook. Great news. There's a quick way you could save money. Switch to Geico. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. We head back to the booth. Tony and Jeff back with us. We welcome in Frank Frangie for the first time today. What's up, Frank?
What's up, fellas? A couple more of these to go. Huh?
Yeah, 3, in fact.
Yeah, 3 more
to go.
And how's everybody?
Oh, we're hanging in there. Hanging in. 1-12 record. Hey,
yeah.
What's the record on fantasy?
Well, speaking of the inactives, I think that would be a good suggestion for the name of Tony Baselli's squad going forward. After last week, Tony chipped in with 25 points for the week with his 3 players. He opted to go with first half Mike Glennon.
That worked well.
Yeah. Colin Johnson,
worked well.
Receiver, and Chris Carson got 18, so there was that going for you, Tony. But 25 points, not your best showing.
Thanks.
JP at 33.
More than
Tony.
today. More than Tony.
I was kind of right in the middle with 42. Frank, thanks to 24 for David Montgomery and 27 from Travis Kelce, who outscored the inactives, had 64, and Jeff had 67, led by Allen Robinson's 27 last week. So here's what we got. Jeff's at the top with 804. I've got 771, so a 33-point lead with 2 weeks to go because we don't do it in Week 17. JP's at 730. Frank's at 700 on the nose, and Tony at 661. It'll be Tony, JP, myself, Frank, and Jeff in that order, taking a quarterback, running back, and either a wide receiver or a tight end. Tony, you're first up.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. He quickly selects JP Shadrick.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Big Ben. I will go running back Jonathan Taylor this week. Frank.
Ryan Tannehill.
Everybody going for their quarterback.
What'd you pick, Mike?
I took Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Jeff, you got back-to-back picks here.
I will take Derrick Henry.
Okay.
And I will take A.J. Brown.
Okay. A.J. Brown was definitely on my wide receiver list this week. Frank, back to you.
Austin Eckler, please.
Okay. Eckler it is. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver.
Come on, man.
For San Fran. JP. Can have any other.
I can't have him, give me Robert Woods.
Robert Woods it is, okay.
Yeah, Eckler already played.
That's right. Eckler already played. You get a big fat 0 for that, or you need to pick another running back.
You good call.
How
about Nick Chubb? Sorry about that.
That slipped past everybody.
Sorry about it.
We should just let him go with the 0.
I was going to let it go. What are we doing?
That's a Tony Smith thing.
Yeah.
If he were closer to the lead, we wouldn't let him.
I'll
do
take
that.
Nick Chubb. Sorry.
All
about
right,
that.
you got Nick Chubb. Tony, you got back-to-back picks. Here.
Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
And Cam Akers.
Oh, he's low. Oh, look at him. He's all in on the Rams today. JP, running back.
J.K. Dobbins.
Oh,
wow. I can't believe he did
Traitor.
Just like everybody else in this show has done it already.
I have not done it once.
I have not either. I've never done it, JP. Just want to let you know.
We'll go back and look.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Go back
I'm
and
going to
look.
take.
Check the
I'm
records,
going to take
please.
Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts.
Ooh, I like that. I like that
Jalen
pick.
Hurts Carson Wentz Feelings, I think, is his full name. But Frank, for you, wide receiver here.
You know what? Tight end was good to me last week.
Okay.
How about Darren Waller?
Darren Waller. All right.
He played
And,
too.
Yeah, he played.
God
as
dang
well.
it.
What?
How about
Hey,
Justin?
first of all, what are we doing here?
Frank just gets zeros. Frank gets zeros.
How about Justin Jefferson? Can I have him? Has he played?
It's up to those guys because he's already done it once.
I would say he's got to take a zero
I
somewhere.
think you got to take a penalty on that.
Wow, rough crowd.
The rule
Good.
is you speak the name, he's your guy. So we're going to give him a big fat 0 for Darren Waller.
Ooh.
Jeff, the quarterback.
Well, you did it twice. You did it twice in a row.
Vaselli doesn't want the seller, so he's
crowd.
like, hey, give him a 0.
Just an NFL Network.
All right, Logs, need a quarterback.
I'll take Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, it is. Right, you do it once, maybe you slide by.
Has he played yet, by the way?
Kirk Cousins has not played yet. Jared Goff, Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp for Tony. JP's got Ben Roethlisberger, J.K. Dobbins, and Robert Woods. I go with Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, Brandon Ayuk. Frank has Ryan Tannehill and Nick Chubb. and several guys who won't score many points. And
goodness.
Jeff has Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, and A.J.
Frank, you're lucky to have 2.
Chubb.
Right, we gave you Chubb. So there's that. All right, guys, good luck.
How about that? There we go. We're coming down the stretch on the Geico Fantasy Outlook, and we'll hear from Tony and Jeff and all those guys coming up in the final hour before kickoff on Countdown to Kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network. Time now for the Frank Frangie File. We visit longer with play-by-play man Frank Frangie. In the booth here in Jacksonville, the game is in Baltimore, and the Ravens need it. They're 8-5. They're right at the cut line of the AFC playoffs, kind of flirting with it there. The Jaguars just need it to snap a 12-game losing skid to get some kind of positive result. It's a tough one today, though.
Yeah, it is, and it's a tough matchup. But you know what? I'm intrigued by a lot of things. I always am. I want to see what happens with Minshew back in the lineup. He plays different. He's got a different style of play. Yeah, he's going to make plays off schedule, and we haven't seen that in a while. And for a while last week, JP, I thought there was a little buzz when he came in. So I'm intrigued by that. But, yeah, it's a tough matchup. Look, the Ravens are very good. They play defense the way the Steelers do, which means they're a 3-4, and they attack from a bunch of different areas, which is one reason it's probably a good thing that Minshew is playing. That was very difficult for the pocket passer, Jake Luton, when they played the Steelers. So, yeah, a lot of fun things to watch, a lot of new guys to watch. I want to see if some of the young guys can get going that haven't. So, a lot of intrigue with the game for me.
Yeah, and Frank, I mean, this is a defense that they want to be aggressive, Baltimore, but they gave up a ton of points to the Cleveland Browns on what was one of maybe the most entertaining game of the year. Gave up 42 on Monday Night Football. So I think the Jags can have some success there, particularly because their starting corners are going to miss this football game. You know, Cleveland had a lot of success running the ball. So how aggressively do you want to see the Jaguars try to attack downfield with no Jimmy Smith and Marcus Peters?
Well, I think that's what you have to do. Look, this team runs James Robinson, Mike. That's who they are. But I agree with you. What do you got to lose? You're 1-12. Take some shots down the field, play fast, go for it on fourth down. You don't have a punter. Why not, right? I mean, so I think this is a game that is unorthodox as the league can be at times. I totally agree with you. Throw the ball downfield. I'm interested in the game. I think the Jags are going to score some points in this game. I really do. I just think the problem is stopping the Ravens because they're physical and they do so much and they run the ball and they run it and they run it and they run it and they run it some more. That's what's going to be tough. But no, I like the fact that it could be fun. There could be some fun things happen. And I agree with you. Attack outside if you can.
There's no more dynamic athlete and player at the quarterback position than Lamar Jackson in the NFL. He's the reigning MVP. We know that. but his ability just to break big runs. And it's not just for, 5-10 yards and slide down. He's making 3 guys miss and then using that speed to leave a vapor trail down the sideline for a touchdown.
What happens too, JP, with a guy like him, not only does he make yards, but he fires up the sideline. If there was a crowd, he would fire up the crowd. If you throw a 15-yard out, it's a first down and you move on. But if he gets loose in the backfield, you thought you had him sacked, he spins away from 2 or 3 guys, he hurdles a guy, he runs past a guy, and he takes a 4-yard loss and turns it into a 15-yard gain. It's still the same 15-yard gain as the down and out would have been, but now everybody's juiced. Your offensive linemen are juiced. Your sideline is juiced. And that's what he does. And that's one of the reasons he won the MVP last year. Not only the yards gained and the wins, but he makes everybody better because he gets everybody excited. And that's what you have to be careful of, that your defense can't be deflated or your sideline can't be deflated because Lamar spun away from a sure sack and ran for 25 yards. And that's what you have to guard against with an electric player. And that's one of the things I worry about the most is not only the yards he makes, JP, but the way he excites everybody and kind of bums you out when he does it to you. That's a big part of his game. It really is.
Talking here with Frank Frangie as the Jags and Ravens get ready to kick off in about an hour and 20 minutes. Frank, no Calais Campbell today, the former Jaguar, but obviously you would imagine YANNICK NGAKOUE is very inspired to play today, his best football game. How do you think that works from a Jags perspective? These guys were in the locker room with him as well, these offensive linemen. I'm not saying they harbor any grudge against him, but I would imagine they don't want to see their former teammate have a whole bunch of success against them either.
Yeah, you're right. He hasn't played great for them. He hasn't played great. YANNICK NGAKOUE is an interesting story. Obviously does some really good things, but the Jags didn't want to pay him what he wanted, and then it got obviously toxic, Mike, as you know. The Vikings couldn't run him out of town fast enough. Mike Zimmer, who is a really good defensive coach and really understands defense, he had 5 sacks up there, yet they couldn't get rid of him fast enough. So there's certainly holes in his game. There's an emotion out there. I think afterwards they shake hands and they enjoy seeing each other. I don't sense that YANNICK is going to have a big factor in the game today. I think that's fun stuff before the game. I think he wants to have a gigantic game, obviously, but I don't know that I think that's going to be a big factor in the game. We'll see.
All right, Frank, have a great call, and we'll check in with you a little bit later.
Okay, fellas, thanks.
Frank Frangie out of here, the voice of the Jaguars on the Jaguars Radio Network, and the Jags and the Ravens coming up, old division rivals. That's a long time ago, and we were talking to Andrew CATALON earlier, and he mentioned that game in London, and it's crazy how fast life comes at you in the NFL from year to year. That was not that long ago.
No, it wasn't. But things changed. They didn't pass on Lamar Jackson in the first round. The Jaguars did.
Correct.
Could have drafted him, and there he was in his second season, winning league MVP. Imagine that. So, that JP, when you find a quarterback that could come in and play at a league MVP level, you can turn it around really quickly. And of course, the Jaguars, we've documented all the woes that they've had, how they've fallen off in recent years. So, you look at the trajectories, it's no surprise that we're at where we are today.
This season, the Jags have launched predictive gaming exclusively in the Jags mobile app. Choose a bingo card, pick your favorite 3 players, and place wagers to win prizes. You can check the games out in the mobile app right now. We've got plenty ahead on the Publix Tailgate Show. A visit with the Ozone wraps us up. Senior writer John Oehser joins us live from his house. Jaguars Radio Network coverage starts at noon with Countdown to Kickoff. And we're a little over an hour away from Week 15, the Jags and the Ravens coming up. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Hey, Jaguar fans. Jack Hannany is Audi Jacksonville, and Jack Hannany is Audi Orange Park. Have the luxury and exotic cars you're looking for. Lamborghini, Porsche, Audi, Rolls-Royce, and more. Over 400 new and pre-owned exotic vehicles waiting for you. With special financing up to 180 months and long-term leases, you can afford to drive your dream car from Hannany Exotics at Audi Jacksonville and Audi Orange Park. Online at HannanyExotics.com. See deal for complete details.
Hey, Florida drivers and motorcycle riders, don't fumble. Do your part to stay safe on our roadways. Florida has observed a significant number of motorcycle fatalities and crashes. Drivers, watch for motorcycles. Don't drive distracted. Motorcycles are hard to see. Take the extra effort to look for them. Riders, play defense. Always ride responsibly. Wear proper gear. Make yourself more visible. Get trained and never drink and ride. On the road, safety is worth way more than 2 points. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Hey Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville.
You won't find a better deal to keep your ride clean than Scrubble's Flexible Service Car Wash. Start in the tunnel wash and experience state-of-the-art equipment while enjoying a soapy light show. Our quality soaps and solutions keep your vehicle streak-free. Every 3-minute car wash package comes with self-serve vacuuming, lint-free towels, window cleaner, and a free air freshener. Visit us at the St. John's Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. And coming soon to Kernan and Atlantic. Trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive. Go Jags!
You're working from home. So how do you connect with coworkers and clients? With RingCentral, the #1 global communication solution for business. RingCentral makes talking, texting, collaborating, and video calls easy. And it's all on one platform. And when we say everyone should be connected, we mean it. It's why we're giving RingCentral free to educators, health providers, and nonprofits. Learn more at ringcentral.com. Welcome to the new RingCentral.
Proven IT implements a strategic game plan designed to streamline your business for maximum results. Make the winning choice with the official business systems partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Proven IT. Proven IT's technology experts use a customized approach to understand how to design, implement, and monitor solutions that optimize your business. Proven IT provides managed network services, document management solutions, office technology, voice and data solutions, and more. Visit ProvenIT.com to see how they can streamline your business. Proven IT, transforming workplace productivity.
Welcome back to the most important moments of the Publix Tailgate Show. The Jags and the Ravens coming up at 1 o'clock at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. It's Week 15. And saving you money on car insurance has been in GEICO's playbook for over 75 years. So what are you waiting for? After the game, get a quote at geico.com. They're the most important moments because it's our weekly visit with the Ozone.
This broadcast is ozone friendly. The Ozone.
Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser is ready for the holiday season, as always. Are you ready for the Jags and the Ravens, though, is the question.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the Jaguars need to be ready for this one, obviously. I'm sure everybody who's been on this show has talked. The Ravens need this game for the playoffs. That's always dangerous against a team that's out of the playoffs in December. Motivated team, a tough team to defend with the way they run the ball. Their offense is as unique as any in the NFL. That matches up well against what the Jaguars aren't doing well right now. This is a tough one, JP and Mike.
Yeah, by the way, JP's statement, I think if he had tweeted it out, would have had one of those disclaimers. This is a disputed statement about the most important moments of the pregame show. I'm just saying.
Wow.
It's not universal. I think
Wow.
Baselli and Loggeman wouldn't agree with that.
Well, they're not here, are they? Right
well,
now?
it doesn't matter if they're here or not, whether they agree with it.
No, John Oehser's segment is the one.
All right. That's what JP says. And
Yeah.
I'll roll with that for now. He's joining us from his Santa's workshop location right now. If you're watching online, you know what I'm talking about. John, YANNICK NGAKOUE, what kind of impact do you think he'll have on the game today?
Well, I think he'll be motivated to have impact. He really hasn't had a great run since he joined the Ravens. I think it's 1 sack in 7 games. I would think that he will get opportunity. I'm sure the Ravens coaches will play him as much as possible within the framework of what he usually does. you would expect him to have a sack. You'd expect him to do something because he's a motivated player. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, the whole thing. He wants that storyline. So perhaps it'll happen today. I think for him, the big picture storyline is, where's he going to fit with this team? Is he fitting in? And is this long-term for him? It looks like it's been a strange fit. I'm not sure what the future holds for him. Right,
he's been coming off the bench as a third down pass rusher a lot this year. So, look, I don't have a problem with the Ravens taking a shot on a guy like that to try to put him over the top. But I agree with you, John. I think he's going to look back and wonder if he didn't get the best offer he'll ever get, and it came from the Jacksonville Jaguars last summer on that long-term deal. So we'll see.
Yeah, very possible. I mean, it's, that's an impossible thing to ever know because of the nature of those negotiations. There was so much information, misinformation. But certainly he fit here, and we all always said, you don't know if any team's going to want you like the team that drafted you and knows who you are. And the Jaguars certainly wanted him. They just couldn't meet.
This is the Jaguars defense that is depleted to begin with, and we know about all the changes in the secondary. There's a lot of younger or newer faces on the defensive line as well. The linebackers have one of their biggest tasks this year with the running game in Baltimore, especially with Lamar Jackson. That changes the whole dynamic of a running offense when you have a quarterback to account for as well, and a guy as explosive as Lamar Jackson back there. This is a tough task today for this Jaguars defense. They cannot miss any assignments, and even if they hit them all, John, he can make you miss and then go 70.
Well, that's the danger. In this defense, and we've heard it for years and years and years, guys have to stay in their gap. If you get out of a gap, then all of a sudden it's Katie bar the door, long runs. It seems like we've heard that after every big rushing game against the Jaguars in the last 5 years. But as you said, JP, you can stay in your gap, and then Lamar Jackson can create his own gap with some incredible move, and then he accelerates faster than any quarterback maybe ever, him and Michael Vick. So it's you would expect in this game to have some breakout runs by the Ravens. I would expect the key for the Jaguars is keep those to some sort of a minimum, make sure they maybe happen on only 1 or 2 drives. And then I think the key today for the Jaguars, they need, if they're going to get turnovers, they need them early. They need to get ahead of this Ravens team. Maybe somehow make Lamar Jackson have to throw when he doesn't want to throw. That's when the Ravens have been vulnerable. I don't feel like the Jaguars have a very good shot because of personnel matchups as much as anything and because of the Ravens' motivation. But early turnovers would be their shot.
John, we know that Aldrich Rosas has a strong leg. He's a professional kicker, but he's never used that leg to punt as far as we can tell. So he's pulling double duty today. There's no safety net as far as that goes. And Logan Cook's also your holder, so there could be some issues in that department. Do you think that changes at all the Jaguars' level of aggressiveness? Do they go for it on a few more 4th downs, things like that?
Yeah, I don't think they'll go for it on 4th and 10 from their 5, but sure. If they're on their own 45, then I think that could change the aggressiveness approach. You're also 1-12. Why not be aggressive? I get, when you mentioned that, I started smiling because when I saw, when I heard the news yesterday and started piecing it together, I thought, why wouldn't Logan Cook be sick? Why wouldn't you have to punt Aldrich Rosas with all that's gone on at the kicker position? It almost felt incomplete not to have this happen.
This was the only thing,
bingo!
The missing piece of the puzzle.
Fill out your bingo card.
That's right. Yeah, the 2020 bingo card has seen some oddities for sure for the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, so 3 games to go, and this is one where you just got to kind of roll out there and see if you can make some plays and get some takeaways and stay in the game as long as you can, it feels like today. Not to downplay it, but that's what it is this week, John.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. Doing this for 2.5 decades and covering the Jaguars lately, you've seen a lot of games in December where they've been not favored. To me, with the Ravens' motivation, they're a surging team that has to win. This is as tough a matchup considering all the depletion on defense. The stat this week, 79 players used for the Jags. This would be an upset of monumental proportion.
It would be huge for sure. John, have a great day in Santa's workshop there, and we will catch up with you a little bit later. John
All right, guys. Thank you.
John Ozier, senior writer, Jaguars.com. Always a great follow,
His
but certainly on
background's just
game
very
day.
decorated. It's very festive. He looks like he might be cobbling some shoes later.
I'll tell you what, the Ozier household, they don't mess around when it comes to Christmas decorations. They Mrs. Ozier puts it on big, and it's a sight to see.
We have our 1 foot tall silver tree out. It's ready to go. So I feel like I've matched the Ozier's intensity.
I have a wreath, but I haven't put it out yet.
No?
I better hurry up because the holiday's coming quick, right?
If you want to take advantage of it,
participate this year,
probably be the time to do it.
Yeah, it's coming in quickly. The Jaguars are hoping for more than a lump of coal before the end of the season.
Yes, they are.
That's all they're getting right now.
Stocking full of it.
Yeah.
They've been hit over the head with that stocking full of coal repeatedly.
It's unfortunate, but that's just the way this season has gone.
It is.
12 in a row, 3 quarterbacks. Now Gardner Minshew coming back out to start this week. The defense has a big task out in front of them this week with Lamar Jackson in the running game for the Ravens. There's no punter.
Bunch of injuries in the secondary, defensive line, sixth kicker, you name it. Bingo, the card's full. I got a little dried lima bean on each space.
But just like we said before, we found out about the punter. You don't want to say that it can always get worse.
Always get worse.
It's
JP.
pretty darn
Let's hope
bad
it doesn't,
right now.
but it is. It's pretty grim.
That said, let's go to
Merry
the
Christmas.
countdown to kickoff. When we come back on the Jaguars Radio Network, we'll hear from Pete Briscoe, Tony Baselli, Jeff Lageman, Frank Frangio in the booth. Fred Taylor joins us as well. Final word with Doug Marrone before kick. The Jags and the Ravens coming up. And this has been the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Oi.
Bonjour.
Xin chào.
Добрый день. كيف فينا نساعدكم؟
¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing